The greatest tennis players of all time, brought to you by BTN. You know, folks, tennis is a sport that demands everything you got. It's a mental chess match, a physical marathon, and a test of pure skill, all rolled into one. And over the years, we've been lucky enough to witness some absolute legends grace the court. I'm talking about the kind of players who don't just win, they dominate, they redefine what's possible. And they inspire a whole new generation of players to pick up a racket. Brought to you by BTN, the leaders in quality sports supplements. Because to be the best, you've got to fuel your body like the best. More info on www.btnutra.com. Tennis, a sport of incredible skill and endurance, has been graced by many exceptional players over the years. Ranking the greatest of all time involves evaluating their achievements, dominance and influence on the game. In this video, we will delve into the careers of the top 10 tennis players who have left an indelible mark on the sport. Let's be honest, you can't talk about tennis greatness without mentioning Roger Federer. The guy's a walking highlight reel.
I mean, 20 Grand Slam titles, that's just ridiculous. But it's not just the titles, it's the way he plays the game. He's got this effortless grace on the court, like he's floating across the grass at Wimbledon. And his consistency? Forget about it. The guy was ranked in the top 10 for over 14 straight years. You try doing that, it's unheard of.
He could hit winners from anywhere on the court, and his footwork, it was like he was dancing out there. But what really sets Federer apart is his adaptability. He was just as comfortable on clay, grass or hard courts. Didn't matter the surface, he'd find a way to win. He could play aggressive, he could play defensive, he could do it all. The guy was a complete player, no two ways about it.
You know, I've had my fair share of battles with guys like Connors and Lendl, but Federer, he was something else. He elevated the game to a whole new level. He made it look easy, and that's the mark of a true champion. He's got this aura about him, this quiet confidence that just screams winner.
He's inspired countless young players to pick up a racket, and for good reason. He's the epitome of excellence, and his legacy in the sport is forever cemented. Now, when it comes to sheer determination and fight, you gotta hand it to Rafael Nadal. The king of clay, they call him, and for good reason.
14 French Open titles. Are you kidding me? The guy owns that tournament. You could put him out there on clay with a broken racket, and he'd still find a way to win. He's like a bull out there, chasing down every ball, hitting winners from impossible angles. And that forehand? Forget about it. It's like a heat-seeking missile coming at you.
You just know you're in for a long day when you step on the court with Rafa. He's got this intensity, this relentless energy that just wears you down. But here's the thing about Rafa. He's not just a clay court specialist. Yeah, he's incredible on that surface, but he's also won multiple titles on hard courts and grass. The guy's a complete player, and he's proven it time and time again.
And you gotta respect his work ethic. The guy trains like he's never won a match in his life. He's always looking to improve, always pushing himself to the limit. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He never gives up. He's a fighter, plain and simple.
Look, I've had my differences with Rafa over the years, but you can't deny his greatness. He's one of the toughest competitors I've ever seen, and he's earned his place among the legends of the game. Now, Novak Djokovic, this guy's a different breed, the Serbinator they call him, and for good reason.
23 Grand Slam titles and counting. He's a machine. This guy's got it all. The power, the accuracy, the movement, the mental toughness. He's like a wall out there, returning everything you throw at him. And his flexibility? Unbelievable. The guy can contort his body in ways you wouldn't believe, getting to shots that most players wouldn't even dream of reaching. And once he's in position, forget about it. He'll hit winners from all over the court.
But what really sets Djokovic apart is his return of serve. It's the best in the world, bar none. He can take your best serve and send it right back at your feet, putting you on the defensive right from the start. It's demoralizing. And you talk about mental toughness, this guy's got ice in his veins. He's been down match points, facing elimination, and he just never cracks. He finds a way to win, even when it seems impossible.
Look, I'll be honest, Djokovic wasn't always my favorite player. He could be a bit, shall we say, demonstrative on the court. But you can't argue with his results. He's earned his place among the greats, and he's still got plenty left in the tank.
Chapter 4. Serena Williams, Queen of the Court.
Let's talk about Serena Williams, the undisputed queen of women's tennis. 23 Grand Slam singles titles, more than any other woman in the Open era.
I mean, come on, that's just dominance.
She's got this raw power, this athleticism that's unmatched in the women's game. Her serve,
Forget about it. It's like a cannonball coming at you.
and that forehand, equally lethal. She can just blow opponents off the court when she's on. But it's not just about power with Serena. She's got great touch, great court sense, and she's a fierce competitor.
You know, I've seen her win matches when she wasn't playing her best, just because she refused to lose.
She's got this killer instinct, this will to win that separates her from the pack. She's a true champion, and she's been an incredible ambassador for the sport.
Serena's inspired countless young girls to pick up a racket, and she's shown the world what women's tennis is all about.
She's a force of nature, and her legacy in the sport is forever secure.
Chapter 5, Steffi Graf, the Golden Slam champion.
Steffi Graf, now there's a name that sends shivers down the spines of her opponents. She was like a machine out there, just ruthlessly efficient.
And her 1988 season. Are you kidding me? The Golden Slam. Winning all 4 Grand Slam tournaments and the Olympic gold medal in the same year, that's unheard of.
She was just on another level. Her forehand was a thing of beauty, just a laser beam down the line. And her footwork? She covered the court like nobody else. She could chase down any shot, and she rarely made unforced errors. She was just so solid, so consistent.
But what really set Steffi apart was her mental toughness. She was unflappable. Didn't matter who she was playing, what the score was, she always kept her cool.
She was like a robot out there, just programmed for winning. Look, I played against some great players in my time, but Steffi was something else. She was a class above, and she deserves to be mentioned among the greatest tennis players of all time.
Her achievements speak for themselves, and her legacy in the sport will never be forgotten.
Chapter 6. Rod Laver, the Rocket. Rod Laver. Now, there's a name that echoes through tennis history. They called him Rocket for a reason. This guy was lightning fast on the court, and his left-handed serve was almost unreturnable back in the day. He was the first player to achieve the Grand Slam twice, winning all 4 major tournaments in the same year, in 1962 and 1969. Think about that for a second. Winning the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open, all in 1 year. Not once, but twice. That's just remarkable. And he did it in a time when the game was played on different surfaces, which made it even more difficult. You had to be a complete player to win on grass, clay, and hard courts back then, and Laver was the epitome of a complete player. He had it all, the serve, the volleys, the ground strokes, the mental toughness. He was a true champion, and his accomplishments still stand the test of time. You know, I never had the chance to play against Laver, but I grew up watching him on TV, and he was a huge inspiration to me. He was one of the reasons I fell in love with tennis. He played the game with such passion, such intensity, and he always seemed to be having fun out there. He was a true ambassador for the sport, and he'll always be remembered as one of the all-time greats. Chapter 7. Björn Borg, the original Iceman of tennis. This guy was a phenomenon. He burst onto the scene in the 1970s with his long blonde hair and his cool demeanor, and he took the tennis world by storm. He won 11 Grand Slam titles, including 6 French Open titles and 5 consecutive Wimbledon titles. That's right, 5 in a row. That's just unheard of in this day and age. Borg was known for his incredible baseline game, his powerful topspin forehand, and his mental toughness. He rarely showed any emotion on the court, which made him even more intimidating to his opponents. He was just ice cold. He was also one of the pioneers of the two-handed backhand, which has become such a common stroke in today's game. He revolutionized the sport with his style of play, and he inspired a whole generation of players, including myself. You know, I had the privilege of playing against Borg a few times, and it was always a battle. He was one of the toughest competitors I ever faced. He never gave you anything, and he always seemed to be in control of his emotions. He was a true champion, and he'll always be remembered as one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Chris Evert. Now there's a name synonymous with consistency and grace on the tennis court. They called her the Princess of the Baseline, and for good reason. She was like a backboard out there, retrieving everything and making her opponents hit that one extra shot. And more often than not, they couldn't. She won 18 Grand Slam singles titles, including a record 7 French Open titles on the clay. She was just so steady, so reliable. You knew exactly what you were going to get with Chrissy: deep, penetrating ground strokes, incredible court coverage, and nerves of steel. She was involved in some of the greatest rivalries in tennis history, particularly her battles with Martina Navratilova. Those matches were legendary, filled with incredible shot-making and drama. They pushed each other to the limit, and they elevated the women's game to new heights. You know, Chrissy was a true champion, both on and off the court. She was always gracious, always a class act. She was a great ambassador for the sport, and she inspired countless young players with her work ethic and her dedication to the game. Chapter 9. Martina Navratilova, a champion for the ages. Martina Navratilova. Now there's a name that commands respect in the tennis world. This woman was a force of nature, dominating the game in the 1980s with her athleticism, her power, and her serve and volley game. 18 Grand Slam singles titles, 31 Grand Slam doubles titles, and 10 Grand Slam mixed doubles titles. Are you kidding me? That's just ridiculous. She's the most decorated tennis player of all time, male or female. She was known for her incredible fitness, her aggressive style of play, and her fierce determination. She was a pioneer in so many ways, not just in tennis, but also in life. She defected from Czechoslovakia to the United States at the age of 18, and she became a vocal advocate for gay rights. You know, Martina was a true champion in every sense of the word. She was an inspiration to me and to countless others around the world. She showed us what it meant to be a fighter, to be true to yourself, and to never give up on your dreams. Chapter 10. Andre Agassi, the Las Vegas Kid. Andre Agassi, the Las Vegas Kid, with the rock star hair and the blistering ground strokes. This guy was box office. He brought a whole new attitude to tennis with his flashy style and his rebellious streak. But beneath that exterior was a fierce competitor, a guy who worked his tail off and wanted to win as much as anyone. 8 Grand Slam titles, a career Grand Slam, and an Olympic gold medal. Those are some serious credentials. He had this incredible hand-eye coordination, could hit winners from anywhere on the court. His return of serve was legendary, and his backhand was a thing of beauty. But what really set Andre apart was his heart. He had this never-say-die attitude, this ability to come back from the brink and win matches he had no business winning. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and the fans loved him for it. You know, Andre was more than just a tennis player. He was a cultural icon, a philanthropist, and a role model for kids all over the world. He transcended the sport, and he left an indelible mark on the game. So there you have it, folks. The top 10 tennis players of all time. A diverse group of athletes from different eras with different styles of play and different personalities. But they all shared one thing in common, a burning desire to be the best. The top 10 tennis players of all time represent a diverse array of styles, achievements, and contributions to the sport. From the graceful elegance of Roger Federer to the powerful dominance of Serena Williams, each player has left an indelible mark on tennis. Their records, rivalries, and unique playing styles have shaped the history of the game, making it richer and more exciting for fans around the world. They pushed the limits of what was possible on a tennis court, and they inspired generations of players to come. They're legends of the game, and their legacies will live on forever. And don't forget, if you're looking to take your own game to the next level, check out BTN for the best in sports supplements at www.btnutra.com, because to be the best, you've got to fuel your body like the best.